morning and welcome. Is yet another edition of Newspaper Headlines. Of course, you know, I will bring you this program every Monday, Wednesday and Friday in order to keep you up to date with events around the nation and beyond. Alright, I am Charles Philip Wakolama. I'll be starting with experts raise concern over federal government deregulation of oil sector. That's the lead story in Daily Times newspaper. Say pronouncement should be backed by new law. Federal government should engage industry stakeholders for policy to work, as according to PETROAN. You find the story on page 2. Coming down, we have a picture of Council of the Chinese Cultural Center in Abuja, showing to the representative of Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Federal Capital Territory, showing him some of the medical kits donated by the center to the FCT Secondary Education Board at the ministry in Abuja. And beside the picture, we have Lagos Mall's full reopening of economy embarks on assessment of businesses. You will see that story on page 3. And below that story, on page 2, we have COVID-19. Political office holders to receive half salary in Kano. COVID-19 analysts expressed worry over likely increase in banks' credit losses. You see it on page 5. Folio Group appoints Obi Young as writer and editor. Okay, page 2. All right, bottom strip. Sokoto working with federal government to contain COVID-19 spread, says Tambuwal. Enugu trains PHC workers on COVID-19 response at community level. And we have a COVID-19 case update in Nigeria. 338 new cases. Total confirmed 5,959. Discharged, we have 1,594. Deaths, 182. Yes, this is according to NCDC, the NCDC update. All right, let's check up the story up here beside the masthead. Insecurity. Buhari orders military operations against bandits, kidnappers in Katsina. Nigeria Air Force deploys special forces in Nasarawa. Troops raid the militants. Okay, troops raid militants. And beside that, COVID-19, Nasarawa sets up counseling teams at quarantine centers. You see it on page 8. This is all for Daily Times. I move to the Guardian newspaper. Guardian newspaper. How virtual meetings expose government's orders to attacks, fraud. The kicker say experts seek stricter implementation of Cybercrime Act 2015. Why firms must host data locally. Beware paying ransom. The story starts from front page, continued on page 5. And if you come down, the picture of President Muhammadu Buhari by the right and the chairman of Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, that's Boss Mustafa. He was briefing the president at the State House, Abuja, yesterday. Experts divided over Madagascar COVID-19 drug. Why federal government, states must increase testing capacity. Government taxed on whereabouts of Chinese doctors. Right, that story has the beginning in front page here, but it's continued on page 6. Alright, beside the picture, relocation of aviation agencies to Abuja, political stakeholders allege. That story is on page 3. Another story on page 5, Ganduje queries federal government's suspension of school feeding program in Kano. Rep says killings in southern Kaduna turning to genocide. And that story is on page 5. Okay, and on back page, a sports story. NFF throws Falcons job open to foreign and local coaches. Right, that's that for the Guardian newspaper. On to the next one, New Telegraph. COVID-19, Lagos malls full reopening of economy. That's the late story. The kicker says to assess restaurants, companies, churches and mosques readiness. Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry says businesses lose trillions of naira to federal government's lockdown. Sanwo-Olu says 10 infected government house officials have recovered. See details on page 3. The pictures is same as we've seen in the previous paper, so I'm gonna move on to the stories beside the picture. By the right, inside stories, top police officer flees after contracting virus. You see it on page 28. 3 Nigerians evacuated from Dubai test positive. Story on page 29 of New Telegraph. Restrictions. Pastors deny members to evade arrest. Can you imagine that? Okay. Okay. That's on page 29. Nigerian researchers seek inclusion in COVID-19 cure. That's on page 30. And we have this one, Car COVID donates kits in NCDC to NCDC, boosts testing by 32,500. You see that story on page 25. Ganduje slashes salaries of political office holders by 50%. Get details on page 31. Okay, by the other side of the picture, COVID-19 global cases. The global cases is now over 4 million. That's 4,789,376. And global recovery, 1,847,632. And then we have global deaths, 316,049. In different countries, the death rates we have in USA 90,711, in UK 34,636, in Italy we have 31,908, France has 28,108, Spain 27,650, Brazil 15,668, Belgium 9,052, Germany 8,028, Iran 6,988, while Canada has 5,781. Those are the respective deaths in different countries. All right. And no prospect for COVID-19 vaccine in 2 years, says the PTF. Senators shun plenary for fear of virus infection. Pages 4 and 6. That's where you can find the story. Research work here that can be found on page 25. Lower salt intake reduces hypertension risk. All right. I move up now above the lead story. CBN considers stimulus package for real estate sector. That story is on page 4. We won't drop infectious disease bill, says the reps, and you find the details on page 4. Auto crashes claim 1,758 Nigerians in 3 months, says the FRSC. And details can be found on page 28. We are ready to work with you, governors tell Gambari. That story is on page 3. To round this one up, above the masthead, federal government grounds British aircraft for violating flight approval. Minister says airline operates commercial instead of humanitarian. Details on front page, continued on page 6. Finally, UBA upgrades mobile app, introduces new features for customers. See it on page 6 of New Telegraph newspaper. Join me to the next one. This day newspaper. COVID-19, private sector, labor leaders oppose fresh lockdown. We have quite a number of kickers under that story. Buhari addresses nation today, unveils new measures. SGF says we are in for a long haul. 338 new cases raise tally to 5,959 with 183 dead, 1,594 discharged. And task force sends Madagascar herbal mixture to NAFDAC for analysis. Businesses protect 2.75 million job losses nationwide. Businesses project 2.75 million job losses nationwide. And Lagos considers full reopening of economy. The picture we have seen before, it's tagged the way forward, and we have Director General, Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Dr. Chikwe Ihekwazu, and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, and President Muhammadu Buhari during the meeting of Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 with the President. It happened at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Buhari gets Osibanjo's Economic Sustainability Committee report this week. That story is on front page. You see the continuation on page 9. Alright, federal government demands ASU suspends a strike before next negotiations. That story is on page 8. Let's go up above the masthead in order to conclude this one. 33 states defy agreement on right-of-way charges for telecoms. 33 states defy agreement on right-of-way charges for telecoms. Story on front page, continued on page 9. Report predicts $17 billion decline in Nigerian oil revenue. Story on page 5. Alright, we'll make a pause here. We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
How do I get tested? If you fall into any of these previously mentioned categories, remain in self-isolation and immediately call your state hotline or the NCDC toll-free line on the screen. The State Ministry of Health, supported by NCDC, will arrange for sample collection and transportation to the lab. Where can I get tested? There are several labs across Nigeria for the testing of COVID-19, and these labs are currently rapidly being expanded across the country to reduce turnaround time from when the samples are taken to when they are tested for the disease. And you can only get tested if you fit the criteria as previously mentioned and a sample has been collected for testing by the state team. What do I do if my COVID-19 test is positive? If your result is positive, please do not panic. Many people who have the infection will show mild symptoms and they can recover quickly with just supportive care. And most of the cases recorded till date in Nigeria are mild to moderate and are clinically stable. What do I do if my COVID-19 test is negative? If your result is negative, it means that you are not infected at the time your sample was taken. However, it is still possible to get infected. Therefore, you should continue to practice social distancing. Wash your hands with soap and running water all the time. Use alcohol-based hand rub frequently and clean your environment all the time. Should I come to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control to get tested? No. If you fall into any of these previously mentioned categories, please remain in self-isolation and immediately call your state hotline or the NCDC toll-free line on the screen.
Welcome back. It is still the newspaper review on ACNNTV. We shall continue with the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, it's leading with story away from COVID-19. Okay, somehow related though. He said, amidst COVID-19 pandemic, only 2,843 of 74,127 inmates freed in 3 months. The kickers to that story says decongestion ongoing. That's according to the Correctional Service. Federal government, states not doing enough, says experts. Causes of delay in releasing inmates. All right, we have an infograph regarding that story. Inmates released by states from correctional centers. We have total number of persons released so far, 2,843, and 244 are the number of custodial centers in 36 states, plus the FCT, while 74,127 are the number of inmates, and 52,226 are the number of persons awaiting trial. 52,226 number of persons awaiting trial, and it shows that 3.8% have been released so far. All right, this is as reported by Daily Trust newspaper. We'll move on. Federal government impounds UK-based Flair aviation aircraft over illegal operation. This story on page 7 of Daily Trust newspaper. Reps insist on infectious disease bill passage. Page 3. 2023 PDP malls remodeling of manifesto. You see that story on page 32. Let's move up. COVID-19. Federal government announces new measures today. So, okay. How 479 billion naira agric mechanization loan will be utilized. How 479 billion naira agric mechanization loan will be utilized. You see it on page 15. That's that for Daily Trust newspaper. Let's go quickly to Blueprint. Blueprint newspaper. COVID-19 will remain with us for 2 years. That's according to Boss Mustafa. Says vaccine can't be ready in the immediate. It's a scam for Western world. According to Vasti Dons. Declare nose masks can reduce oxygen intake. Federal government impounds UK aircraft over flight violation. Lagos plans cautious reopening of businesses, mosques, churches. Details on page 6. We have a picture of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umaru Farouk, by the right. She was presenting some palliatives to the beneficiary during her visit to the elderly to deliver COVID-19 relief materials. Alright, happened in Karishi in Abuja here. Bottom strip stories. My sick mother got healed after I got my NNPC job. That's according to a graduate trainee. Alright, that's on page 5. And we have Oshun Amotekun intercepts 14 Almajiri hidden in container. See it on page 7 of Blueprint. Revenue shortfall may spike fiscal deficit to $5.3 trillion. That's according to Afri Invest. And you see it on page 25. Lockdown. GSM service providers gains as schools go online. GSM service providers gains as schools go online. You see it on page 26. Sadia Omar Farouk and politics of COVID-19 palliatives. I think that's an article you see on page 19. Let's move up. Niger police vigilantes kill 10 bandits, capture 2. Buhari okays strike force for Katsina and Nasarawa. And then Nigerian leads COVID-19 task force in Sierra Leone, page 8. And the story of capture of vigilantes and killing of 10 bandits can be found on page 6. Banditry, others, 8,000 killed, 200,000 displaced in Sokoto, Zamfara and others. Story on page 5. Okay, that's all we have from Blueprint newspaper. Right, so we move to Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune has a lead story on unemployment. It says lockdown. Unemployment rate may hit 45% by December. And you see the details to that story on page 7. Lagos considers full reopening of economy. Still on page 7. Churches, mosques also being considered. La SEPA, Safety Commission to re-register, assess businesses before reopening. Infected government house staff members have recovered, says the governor. Anxiety in Ibadan, over 30 positive COVID-19 cases in one organization. Federal government impounds UK-based aircraft for illegal commercial flights. Three Nigerian Dubai returnees test positive in Lagos. Madagascar records first COVID-19 death. Qatar imposes 3 years imprisonment for refusal to wear face masks. Details of all this can be found on pages 2, 3, 4 and 25. Buhari receives PTF reports on COVID-19. May announce new policy today. Page 4. COVID-19. Influx of Almajiri to southwest. Unacceptable. That's according to YCE. See it on page 3. Police rescue abducted daughter of murdered Unijos lecturer. 2 others. Alright, let's go up now. Just above the lead story. Just above the lead story, yeah. Soldiers kill police sergeants. Shoot DPO in Lagos. Find details on page 29. Confusion as federal government says no approval of 6 new colleges of education yet. Confusion as federal government says no approval of 6 new colleges of education yet. You see it on page 27. And this one, 4.3 billion secret account was appropriated in 2019 budget. That's according to Ondo government. Details on page 23. Finally, above masthead, why Buhari picked Gambari as chief of staff, how Cabal was sidelined. Okay, you see the details. It starts from front page, continues on page 4. Okay, and the last one I have here, People's Daily. People's Daily has this lead story: lockdown, federal government impounds UK aircraft for conducting commercial flights. Details on page 5. And the picture shows President Muhammadu Buhari at the SSA, Mr. Abdul Muttalab Mukhtar, and Director General NACA, Dr. Sani Aliyu, during briefing with the President on the activities of PTF at the Presidential Villa, State House, Abuja. Bottom strip stories: COVID-19, Buhari to make nationwide broadcast today. Is on page 10. Idel Victory, Masari relaxes lockdown in Katsina. That's on page 11. New states. Alright, that's all I have here from People's Daily. This is much we can take on today's newspaper headlines. Thank you for watching. Let's do this next time on Wednesday. Charles Philip Wakolam is my name. Bye bye.